Hello and welcome back to Talk English Now. I'm Sarah, and today we're going to talk about how you can bring English into your everyday life in small, simple ways that help you sound more fluent without even feeling like you're studying. You see, fluency is not built in a single big study session. It's something we shape and strengthen little by little, moment by moment, in the way we listen, speak, and even think. And today, I'm going to walk you through daily habits that you can easily fit into your life, no matter how busy you are. Think of this as us sitting together, having a warm conversation. I'm not here to test you or judge you. I'm here to help you see how much English can become a natural part of your day if you simply invite it in. These habits are not about perfection. They're about connection, comfort, and building a stronger rhythm in the way you use English. So, as we talk, I want you to imagine using these ideas in real situations. Picture yourself saying the words, hearing them in your head, and feeling that little spark of confidence grow each time you practice. The first thing I want you to understand is that small daily exposure is far more powerful than long occasional study. Your brain responds beautifully to repetition and gentle contact with a language, so even if you spend just 10 or 15 minutes, but you do it every single day, you'll see a difference. Think about how a plant grows. It doesn't need a huge flood of water once a month. It needs regular drops, consistent sunlight, and time. Your English is the same. Little by little, it blooms. One of the simplest habits you can start is to speak English out loud to yourself. You might be thinking, Sarah, isn't that a little strange? And yes, it might feel unusual at first. But trust me, it works wonders. When you speak to yourself, you give your mouth and your brain a chance to work together without the pressure of another person listening. You can describe what you're doing. I'm making coffee now. I'm opening the window. I'm checking my phone. Simple, short sentences, but they train your speaking muscles and keep your brain in English mode. If you make this a daily habit, you'll notice that you start forming sentences more quickly. The pauses get shorter, the words come more naturally, and most importantly, you feel less nervous when you need to speak with someone else. It's like practicing a dance step alone before you join the group. By the time you talk to another person, your body already knows the moves. Another beautiful habit to build is listening to English every single day. I'm not talking about passive listening where you put something on in the background and ignore it. I mean active listening, even if it's just for 5 minutes. Find a short audio clip, a slow English story, or even a part of a TV show, and give it your full attention. Listen to the rhythm, the pauses, the way the voice goes up and down. Don't just listen to the words. Listen to the music of the language. And when you hear something interesting, repeat it. Copy the tone, the speed, and the feeling of the sentence. This is shadowing. And when you shadow daily, your speaking becomes more natural without you even realizing it. You start to absorb patterns and expressions the way a child learns, not by memorizing grammar charts, but by living inside the language. Every time you repeat a sentence, you're building 2 kinds of memory, the memory of the sound and the memory of how it feels to say it. And when those two come together, speaking becomes smoother, more automatic. You don't have to stop and think about each word, you just speak, and the words are already there. Now, I want to share something important. Your environment matters more than you think. If your home, your phone, your surroundings can remind you of English, you'll practice without forcing yourself. Change the language on your phone to English. Label a few objects around your house with sticky notes in English. When you see the word mirror, every time you pass the mirror, your brain stores it deeper. These little cues whisper English to you all day, and they work quietly, building your fluency while you're not even trying. And remember, if you're enjoying this lesson, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel for more daily English practice. It's the simplest way to make sure you keep getting these moments of learning and encouragement every day. Let's keep going. Another daily habit that can transform your fluency is reading out loud. It doesn't matter if it's a short article, a paragraph from a book, or even your own writing. When you read out loud, you're not only practicing pronunciation, you're also training your brain to connect spelling, meaning, and sound all at once. This is a powerful combination because it builds confidence in how words look, how they sound, and how they feel in your mouth. Choose something that's interesting to you. It could be a news story about your favorite sport, a recipe you want to try, or even an inspiring quote. The more you enjoy the content, the more likely you are to stay consistent with it. And here's a little secret. When you read something out loud more than once, you give your tongue a chance to relax into the shape of the words. The second or third time often sounds smoother, and you'll notice small changes in your flow. Don't rush the reading. Let each sentence breathe. Pause naturally, just like you would in a real conversation. This habit isn't about speed, it's about quality and clarity. Over time, you'll find that the rhythm you develop while reading out loud naturally flows into your everyday speech, and you'll be more aware of your tone and pacing when you talk to others. Another habit I want you to try is journaling in English. It doesn't have to be long. Even just a few sentences each day can make a big difference. Write about something simple, like what happened today, what you're planning for tomorrow, or how you feel right now. Journaling helps you practice forming sentences in your own words, without the pressure of speaking to someone else. It's your private space to experiment, to make mistakes, and to learn from them. The magic happens when you read your journal entries out loud. By doing this, you combine writing practice with speaking practice. You'll hear your own style, notice words you use often, and discover areas where you might want to expand your vocabulary. And because it's your own story, it feels more natural to say it out loud. One of the most overlooked daily habits is repeating phrases from memory. Throughout your day, collect little pocket sentences. These could be common expressions you hear, sentences from a TV show, or something you read. For example, you might hear, "That sounds like a good idea," or "I'll get back to you on that." Keep them short and useful. Then, say them to yourself a few times during the day until they feel automatic. When a phrase becomes automatic, you no longer have to think about it. It just appears when you need it. This is how native speakers work. They don't build every sentence from scratch. They use familiar patterns again and again, and you can do the same by building your own collection of ready-to-use sentences. You can also make a habit of thinking in English. This is a quiet but powerful skill. Instead of translating from your native language, try to form the thought directly in English. Start with simple moments, like planning your grocery list in English or thinking about how you'd explain something to a friend. At first, it might feel slow, but the more you do it, the faster it becomes. Soon, English will feel more like a natural part of your mind than a language you have to switch into. And when you're thinking in English, don't be afraid to speak some of those thoughts out loud. This makes the connection between your inner voice and your spoken voice even stronger. You might be walking, cooking, or just relaxing, and suddenly you say, "I should water the plants." It's a tiny moment, but it keeps your speaking muscles awake and ready. A habit that blends fun with practice is singing along to English songs. Choose songs where the lyrics are clear and the speed is not too fast. Singing forces you to match rhythm, pronunciation, and breath control. And because music stays in your memory longer, the words you sing are more likely to stay with you. The next time you hear the song, your mouth will remember how it feels to say those words, and that's fluency in action. Finally, make a habit of reflecting on your progress each day. Before you go to bed, think about one small English moment from your day that you feel good about. Maybe you understood a sentence without translating. Maybe you remembered a word quickly. Maybe you just felt more comfortable speaking. These reflections build your confidence and keep you motivated. And when you notice progress, even small progress, you're more likely to keep going. The beauty of these habits is that they fit into your life without needing a big block of study time. You don't have to wait for the perfect moment to practice. A moment can be a learning moment if you choose to see it that way. And over time, these small habits join together into something much bigger, a natural, flowing, confident English that you can use anywhere. When you begin to weave these habits into your everyday life, you'll notice that they start to work together. Each one supports the others. Speaking to yourself gives you the courage to use phrases with other people. Listening actively feeds your speaking with new sounds and patterns. Reading out loud improves your pronunciation and rhythm, which then helps when you're shadowing real conversations. It's like a circle of progress, where every habit strengthens the next. One thing I really want you to remember is that fluency is not about speaking perfectly. It's about speaking comfortably. Even native speakers pause, search for words, and rephrase their sentences. What makes them fluent is not that they never make mistakes, but that they keep the conversation flowing despite them. So, as you practice, give yourself permission to keep moving forward, even when you can't find the perfect word. Use what you know. Describe it another way. This is part of the magic of fluency. It's about connection, not perfection. A great way to push yourself gently is to set tiny, daily challenges. For example, today you might decide to use 3 new phrases you've learned. Tomorrow, you might try to talk for 1 minute without stopping. The next day, you could focus on copying the intonation from a podcast you like. These small goals give you a sense of achievement and keep your practice fresh. And because they're so small, you won't feel overwhelmed. Let's talk a bit more about shadowing, because it's one of the most powerful daily habits you can have. Shadowing means listening to a sentence in English and repeating it immediately, matching the tone, speed, and emotion. It's like dancing in perfect time with someone else. At first, it might feel difficult to keep up, but your brain learns fast. And as you do this every day, you'll find yourself speaking more quickly, more smoothly, and with more natural rhythm. This isn't just pronunciation practice, it's fluency training for your whole speaking system. You can shadow TV shows, movies, podcasts, or even YouTube videos like this one. The important thing is to choose something you enjoy, because enjoyment keeps you consistent. And don't worry if you can't get every word perfect in the beginning. Focus on the flow and let your accuracy improve with time. You'll be amazed how much progress you make without feeling like you're studying in the traditional sense. Another daily habit that people overlook is asking yourself questions in English. When you start your day, you could ask, "What do I need to do today?" When you finish a task, ask, "What should I do next?" This habit turns your mind into an English-thinking space. You're not waiting for someone else to ask you questions. You're leading the conversation with yourself. And this prepares you for real conversations because you're practicing both sides, asking and answering. And if you want to make this even more effective, answer those questions out loud. When you do, you're building quick response skills. This helps you in situations where someone asks you something and you need to answer without thinking for too long. The more you practice this alone, the more confident you'll be in real interactions. There's also the habit of rephrasing. Let's say you hear a sentence like, "I'm a bit busy right now. Can we talk later?" Try saying it in a different way. "I'm kind of busy. Maybe we can speak later." Or, "I'm busy at the moment. Can we discuss it later?" By rephrasing, you teach yourself flexibility. You learn that there's more than one way to say the same thing, and this makes you more adaptable in conversations. Rephrasing is especially helpful when you can't remember an exact word. Instead of freezing, you can find another way to explain. This is what fluent speakers do all the time. And the more you practice this skill, the less fear you'll feel about forgetting vocabulary, because you'll know you can still keep talking. If possible, include a review moment at the end of your day. Think about all the English you used, the words you said, the things you listened to, the sentences you read. This isn't about judging yourself, it's about noticing your progress. You might realize you understood more than you thought, or that you remembered a word you learned last week. These small wins matter because they tell your brain, "I'm getting better every day." As these habits become part of your daily routine, you'll start to feel different. You'll notice that English doesn't feel like a subject you study. It feels like a skill you live. You'll be able to speak without switching your mind from native language mode to English mode. And that's when fluency truly starts to feel natural. The more natural English feels to you, the easier it becomes to bring it into all parts of your life. Think about the things you already do every day, your morning routine, your commute, your meals, your hobbies. Each of these moments can hold a little space for English. If you're making breakfast, you can describe the steps to yourself in English. If you're waiting for a bus, you can listen to a short English podcast or mentally review some new words you learned. If you're scrolling on your phone, you can choose to read an article or a short story in English instead of your native language. These tiny switches, repeated day after day, create a huge difference over time. Another way to make these habits stick is to attach them to something you already do. For example, if you always have a cup of tea in the morning, make it your English listening time. If you go for a walk in the evening, make it your speaking to yourself time. By connecting English practice to habits you already have, it becomes automatic. You don't have to think about finding time. It's already built into your life. This is how learning becomes effortless. Let's also talk about the role of confidence. Many learners wait until they feel ready before speaking. But the truth is, speaking is what makes you ready. You build confidence not by thinking about speaking, but by speaking. And the more you do it, the more comfortable it feels. Even if you make mistakes, you're building the courage to keep going. And that courage is the bridge to fluency. Sometimes you might feel like you're not improving. This is normal. In language learning, there are moments where progress feels slow. But remember, fluency is like a tree growing. You don't see it getting taller every day, but the roots are growing deeper. And one day, you'll suddenly notice how much you've grown. Maybe you'll have a conversation that feels easy, or you'll watch a movie and understand more than before. Those moments will show you that your daily habits are working, even if you can't see the progress every second. To keep your motivation alive, make your English practice enjoyable. Choose topics you love. If you like cooking, follow English recipe videos. If you love sports, watch interviews with athletes in English. If you enjoy storytelling, listen to English audiobooks. When you're interested, your brain pays more attention, and you remember more. Enjoyment is fuel for consistency, and consistency is the heart of fluency. Another powerful daily habit is visualizing conversations before they happen. If you know you'll be speaking to someone in English, spend a few minutes imagining what the conversation might be like. Think about the questions they might ask and how you would answer. Picture yourself speaking confidently and naturally. This mental rehearsal prepares your mind and reduces nervousness. And when the real conversation comes, it feels familiar, almost like you've already done it. You can also use visualization to practice situations that you don't face often but want to be ready for. Ordering food in a restaurant, making small talk with a new colleague, giving directions to a stranger. By imagining the scene and speaking the lines out loud, you prepare yourself for the real thing. And when it happens, your brain says, "I know this. I've done it before." When you combine visualization with speaking practice, you're training your mind and your voice together. This makes your fluency more resilient. You're ready for more situations, and you can handle them with less stress. Over time, this becomes a natural part of how you prepare for daily life. You won't just hope you can speak well, you'll know you can. There will also be days when you feel tired or busy and can't do as much as you planned. On those days, do something small. Listen to one song. Read one paragraph. Say one sentence out loud. Even the smallest action keeps your chain of practice unbroken, and that matters more than doing nothing. Because language learning isn't about doing everything perfectly, it's about showing up every day in some way, no matter how small. So keep reminding yourself, every sentence you say, every word you hear, every moment you spend in English is a step forward. It may be a small step today, but it's still movement. And movement, no matter how slow, always takes you closer to fluency. One thing I often tell my students is that fluency is like building a path through a forest. At first, the path is overgrown, and it's hard to walk. You have to push through the leaves, move around branches, and sometimes you even get stuck. But each time you walk that path, it becomes a little clearer, the ground becomes smoother, the plants move aside, and eventually, without even thinking about it, you're walking easily. Your daily English habits are the steps that keep clearing that path. The more you take them, the smoother and more natural the journey becomes. This is why repetition is so important. Repeating a sentence, a phrase, or even a whole conversation might feel boring at first, but it's one of the fastest ways to make English automatic. When you repeat, your brain isn't just remembering the words, it's remembering the order, the sound, and the feeling of saying them. And once those patterns are in your memory, you can pull them out in real situations without hesitation. It's like having a toolbox that's always ready when you need it. You can also strengthen your habits by mixing them together. For example, you could write a short journal entry and then read it out loud, or you could listen to a short audio clip, shadow it, and then rephrase it in your own words. When you combine different skills, listening, speaking, writing, you deepen your fluency from more than one direction. This gives you a stronger, more flexible command of the language. Another gentle but effective habit is noticing new words around you. Whenever you hear or read something you don't know, write it down. Keep a small notebook or a note on your phone for this. But here's the important part. Don't just collect words. Use them. Even if you only use a new word once or twice that day, you've given it life in your memory. The more you use it, the more it becomes part of your active vocabulary. Over time, this habit turns random words into personal treasures you can rely on when you speak. When you practice every day, you'll also start to notice that some words and phrases keep appearing. These are your core words, your most used, most valuable building blocks. Pay attention to them. Make sure you can pronounce them clearly and use them in different ways. Mastering these core words gives you a strong base that makes it easier to build longer and more complex sentences. Let's not forget about listening for emotion and tone. Language is not just about the meaning of words. It's also about how those words feel. The way someone says, "I'm fine," can mean many different things depending on their tone. As you listen daily, pay attention to this. Try to copy the emotion as well as the words. This will make your English sound more natural, and it will also help you understand others more deeply. Sometimes, learners worry too much about grammar. Yes, grammar matters, but when you're practicing daily fluency habits, focus first on speaking and understanding. Let the grammar improve naturally as you get more comfortable. The more you speak, the more your brain will start to recognize patterns. And when you hear a phrase often enough, your brain stores it in the correct form without you needing to memorize a rule. This is how children learn, and it works for adults too. You might also want to include a little morning warm-up in English. Just a few minutes to get your voice moving and your brain thinking in English before your day starts. This could be repeating some of your favorite phrases, reading a short passage, or speaking about your plans for the day. A warm-up gets you into an English mindset so that when you meet an opportunity to use English later in the day, you're ready to speak with more ease. And finally, remember that all these habits work best when you are kind to yourself. Some days will feel amazing. You'll speak smoothly, remember words easily, and feel proud. Other days will feel harder. You might make mistakes, forget words, or feel stuck. This is normal. Fluency is a journey, and like any journey, it has sunny days and rainy days. What matters is that you keep walking. Every day you show up for yourself in English, you're proving that you're committed, and that commitment will take you further than you ever imagined. As you keep building these daily habits, something interesting begins to happen. English stops feeling like a subject you study and starts feeling like a part of your identity. It becomes the way you describe your world, the way you process information, even the way you dream sometimes. This shift is powerful because when you see yourself as a person who lives in English, even for small parts of your day, fluency becomes much easier to reach. One of the strongest signs that your habits are working is when you begin to think in English without noticing. Maybe you're cooking and you suddenly realize you've been naming ingredients in English. Or you're walking and planning your day in English in your mind. These moments are proof that your brain is becoming comfortable with the language, and the more they happen, the faster your fluency grows. Another way to make your habits stick is to share them with someone else. You could have a language partner, a friend who's also learning, or even just someone who supports your journey. Tell them what you're practicing, share your small wins, and celebrate progress together. When you involve another person, you add accountability and encouragement. Plus, speaking about your learning in English adds yet another layer of practice. Let's talk about the importance of patience. In our busy world, we're used to quick results, but language learning is a slow, steady process. If you plant a seed, you can't rush it into becoming a tree overnight. It grows in its own time as long as it gets regular care. Your daily habits are that care. And just like watering a plant, you might not see the change every day, but it's happening beneath the surface. The roots of your fluency are growing deeper and stronger. You might also find it helpful to set a theme of the week for your habits. For example, one week could focus on improving pronunciation. So your listening, speaking, and reading out loud all pay extra attention to sounds. Another week could focus on building vocabulary around a topic you enjoy, like travel or cooking. This keeps your practice fresh and stops it from feeling repetitive. And by focusing deeply for a short time, you often make faster progress in that area. Something that makes daily habits even more powerful is connecting them to emotions. Our brains remember things more easily when they are linked to feelings. If a phrase makes you laugh or a story makes you feel inspired, you'll remember the language more strongly. So choose materials that make you feel something. Watch a speech that motivates you. Read a poem that touches your heart. Listen to a song that brings back memories. Those emotional connections will lock the language into your memory in a way that pure memorization never can. Also, try not to separate practice time from real life too much. If you learn a new word in your practice, look for a chance to use it that same day. If you hear a phrase you like, try it out in a real conversation, even if it's just a short interaction with a shop assistant. Every time you bring your practice into real life, you strengthen your fluency in the situations where you actually need it. And on days when you feel like skipping practice, remind yourself that even a tiny step counts. 1 sentence, 1 minute of listening, 1 thought in English. It might seem too small to matter, but it keeps the habit alive. And keeping the habit alive is what keeps your progress moving forward. Missing a day now and then won't erase your skills, but the more consistent you are, the stronger and faster your fluency will grow. Above all, remember that you're building more than just language skills. You're building confidence, independence, and a deeper connection to a whole new way of expressing yourself. Each small habit is an act of self-investment, and the more you invest in yourself, the more you'll see English not as a challenge, but as a natural part of who you are becoming. Another important part of building fluency through daily habits is learning to notice opportunities. Opportunities are everywhere, but many learners miss and because they're only looking for study time. For example, if you're waiting in line, you could silently describe what you see in English, the people around you, the colors, the sounds. If you're cooking, you could name each ingredient or step in English. If you're walking down the street, you could imagine how you would give directions in English to someone who's lost. These little moments may seem small, but they train your brain to switch into English quickly and naturally. I also encourage you to bring curiosity into your practice. When you hear a new phrase, ask yourself why it's used that way. When you notice a different pronunciation, try to copy it. When you read a sentence that feels beautiful, repeat it until it feels like yours. Curiosity makes learning more enjoyable and active. Instead of just receiving language, you're exploring it, playing with it, and making it your own. And that personal connection is what makes your fluency stronger. Some learners worry about making mistakes every time they speak, but here's something to remember. Mistakes are not the opposite of learning. They are part of learning. In fact, every time you make a mistake and then correct it, you deepen your understanding. The key is to keep speaking, even after the mistake. Let it be a stepping stone, not a stopping point. If you practice daily, you'll notice that the same mistakes happen less and less, simply because you're using the language more often and more confidently. Another daily habit that can help is recording yourself speaking. Choose a short topic, maybe a summary of your day, a memory, or your opinion on something, and speak for 1 or 2 minutes. Then listen to the recording. At first, it might feel uncomfortable to hear your own voice, but it's one of the best ways to notice your progress. You might hear areas where you can improve pronunciation, or you might realize you sound clearer than you thought. This habit also lets you compare your speaking over time, so you can see how far you've come. Incorporating a review and repeat moment into your day can also help lock new language into your memory. At the end of each day, take 1 or 2 sentences you learned and repeat them slowly, clearly, and with the correct rhythm. Imagine yourself using them in real conversation. This review doesn't take long, but it keeps your new knowledge alive so you don't lose it quickly. When you combine review with active use, your progress becomes much more stable. For example, if you learn the phrase, "I'm looking forward to it," you might review it in the evening and then look for a chance to use it the next day. That real-world usage is what transforms a phrase from "something I've seen" to "something I can use naturally." And don't underestimate the power of positive self-talk. Learning a language can sometimes feel overwhelming, and it's easy to be hard on yourself. But speaking kindly to yourself in English, saying, "I'm improving every day," or "I'm proud of my effort," not only boosts your mood, but also gives you extra speaking practice. The more positive your relationship with English, the more motivated you'll feel to keep going. If you ever feel like your practice is becoming routine and you're losing excitement, change one small thing. Try a new source for listening, a different topic for speaking, or a fresh place to practice. Eve. And a tiny change can bring back energy and make the habit feel new again. Consistency doesn't mean doing things the exact same way every day. It means showing up every day in some form that keeps you engaged and moving forward. Your daily habits are more than just actions. They're signals to your brain that English matters to you. Every time you practice, you're telling yourself, "This is part of my life now." And when something becomes part of your life, fluency is no longer a distant goal. It's a natural result of the way you live each day. And now, as we come to the end of our time together today, I want you to take a deep breath and think about everything we've talked about. Every small daily habit we've explored is a seed you can plant in your life. Some will grow quickly, others will take more time, but each one will add something valuable to your fluency journey. You don't need to master them all at once. Just start with 1 or 2, make them part of your day, and watch how they slowly transform the way you speak, listen, and think in English. The beauty of this approach is that you don't have to wait for perfect conditions. You don't need a classroom, a textbook, or hours of free time. You just need the willingness to bring English into the small moments of your day, because every moment counts. And when you add those moments together, they become weeks, months, and years of steady, quiet progress. That's how real fluency is built, bit by bit, step by step, day by day. I want you to know that you are capable of so much more than you might believe right now. Even if you've doubted yourself, even if you've had days where English felt impossible, you have the strength to keep going. And the fact that you're here, listening, and willing to invest time in your learning shows that you already have the most important quality you need: commitment. With commitment, everything else will come. So tomorrow, when you wake up, I want you to try at least one habit we've talked about. Speak to yourself out loud, even for a minute. Listen to a short English clip with full focus. Write a couple of sentences about your day, and then do it again the next day and the next. Build your chain of practice one link at a time, and never let it break. You'll be amazed at where you are a few months from now. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. It's always an honor to be part of your English journey. Remember, you're not just learning words. You're opening doors to new conversations, new friendships, and new opportunities. And that's worth every bit of effort you put in. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the bell icon so you don't miss future lessons. Keep practicing, keep believing in yourself, and never give up. You've got this, and I'll be right here to guide you every step of the way.